Trying to create peace and tranquility in the hustle and bustle of the city can be quite a challenging feat. But in this home, it feels like we packed up our bags and headed to the Hamptons. It boasts of a light and bright and sophisticated vibe, and yet we're just a stone throw away from the buzzing locus of activity that is Sandton City. In today's episode of Finest Homes, we take a look at a Hampton-style home in Sandton, Johannesburg. We chat to architect Herman Taljaard, as well as interior designer Heather Botting, about what inspired this classical home. Knock, knock. Hello, Herman.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for having us.
All good. Can I show you around?
Please do. Let's hit it. When architect Herman Taljaard met with the homeowners of this Hampton-style home, it was clear that they wanted a home for the ages. An abode where a young family could grow, and top of the list was an easy living home with flow between spaces. Herman, as I walk through here, I feel like I'm so close to the beach, almost at a home near the coastline, and yet we're almost at the heart of Sandton City.
The holiday feel is very intentional. Our brief from the clients was to create a home that had very much a holiday breakaway feel to it.
Yeah.
They both work in the Sandton CBD, which is, as you've said, a stone's throw away. But the aim was to, when they got home in the evening, feel as though they've arrived elsewhere and be out of the hustle and bustle of the Sandton workplace.
Now, I see you've achieved the holiday vibe, but what does that mean from an architectural point of view? How do you attain that?
I think holiday means different things to different people, but typically I would imagine people to associate holiday with a very specific atmosphere, not necessarily fixtures or fittings, possibly a colour scheme, something more subtle, something not typically suburban or corporate. And then in an instance like this, where one has the opportunity to, particularly from first floor level, overlook treetops as part of the Joburg landscape, one would strategically place windows to have that view element.
Now, this is a home to a young family. So in the planning process, what were the discussions around the brief?
The clients were quite specific in terms of the look and feel they wanted to achieve, being a Hamptons holiday home. From a circulation and accommodation point of view, they actually gave us quite a bit of flexibility. They did have a checklist in terms of rooms and spaces and activities they wished to accommodate, but the way we arranged them in relation to each other was actually up to us to a large extent. What they did know was that this home would be a long-term solution for them. So from that point of view, the home had to afford quite a bit of flexibility in terms of how it could be furnished, how it could be used, how spaces could either be shut off from one another or be interleading for a function on a larger scale, and all of that then being serviced by the kitchen, which is positioned quite centrally to all these private and semi-private spaces. So that, in essence, was the brief we were provided with.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about the key exterior elements. For example, it's hard not to notice that beautiful balcony that spans across the home. What was the thinking behind that?
The balcony as an L shape links all the first floor spaces together, comprising a study, work from home, and then all the bedrooms. So there's that engagement, but in addition to that, it provides the opportunity for a beautiful view overlooking Joburg treetops. So the balcony facilitates that. What we've aimed to do with the exterior treatment of the home was to complement the interior understated, calm, classical aesthetic. And the window placement plays a large part in that. You'll find that as opposed to large expanses of glass, we've strategically placed windows in terms of the elevational treatment, but also in terms of how they relate to the interior spaces, to afford picture windows on the one hand overlooking the garden and on the other overlooking the treetops.
Well, the view from the balcony really lends itself for a perfect invitation for what lies in store. I can't wait to see what's inside.
Let's have a look.
Great. Don't go away. After the break, we explore the interior of this classical Hampton-style home. In today's episode of Finest Homes, we're exploring a Hampton-style home in Johannesburg. Before the break, we chatted to architect Herman Taljaard, who designed this classical home. And now we get to explore the interior. Okay, so I see that the perceived kind of coastal feel from the exterior is incorporated in the layout of the interior. Talk to me about the flow of the space.
The brief called for spaces that interlead, but also provide very specific opportunities. The area where we are now, being open plan, actually is the heart of the home. And upon entry, this is the first space where you would find yourself. In addition to that, there are also semi-private and very private areas that lead off this space. The brief called for placement of bedrooms on the first floor from a security and accessibility point of view. So what we've done is to place the staircase apart from typical open plan areas to afford access to upstairs without necessarily traipsing through the entire open plan area. Something else we've done upstairs is to place the window from the study specifically facing the Sandton skyline. So in as much as it's a holiday home in terms of intent, the working area still has its eye on the Sandton hustle and bustle.
Now, if we are talking simple architecture, what would you say are the base areas and functions in your kind of skeleton that you've created?
What we've done here, and it could actually be illustrated quite clearly had we had the opportunity to actually film this area unfurnished, because just in its bare state, hardwood floors, the paneling, the fixtures that were part of creating the shell, it was actually a warm, inviting, subtle, already creative and comfortable space, which illustrates the fact that one could have achieved a variety of aesthetics in using this space. But knowing that the clients had intended to appoint an interior designer, we've introduced odds and ends, providing architectural character and context, but we've also stayed away from being too specific to afford the interior designer the opportunity to develop these spaces to suit lifestyle requirements from the client's perspective. So we've not involved ourselves in that level of dressing, knowing that a professional would add that layer and that level of detailing to the interior.
Interior designer Heather Botting was responsible for the interior of the home, and Hamptons was the brief. Perfect for a relaxed South African lifestyle, the Hamptons look is a carefully constructed aesthetic featuring classic design elements which come together to present a light, bright and sophisticated coastal vibe. With neutrals as the base and shades of blue filtering throughout the home, this classic look is elegantly executed to perfection. Heather, this space has a real home feel. How involved were you in the building process?
So fabulously, I received the home in a very clean shell, handed straight over from the architect Herman. So I really had carte blanche in terms of coming through, developing which areas would be the key areas to break into your living, into your dining, into your outdoor patio look and feel.
Yeah, I must say, when I walked through the home, you could feel kind of the distinct areas with particular functions. What was the thinking process behind that?
So I think that's really key with an open plan living area. You really want to optimize the space. You don't necessarily want to clutter it by placing furniture in front that would really end your flow throughout the home. So rugs are a great use of demarcating areas in a specific way. So we've used that in the formal lounge as well as underneath the dining and patio area.
So when you sat with the couple, what was the brief for the interior design?
Yes, so when first meeting the couple, they're a fantastic young professional couple with an only child, and they were very clear on a Hamptons look and feel for their interiors. So that was a very exciting sort of first step into really divulging into the different textures, the different colour palettes and the different look and feels.
Now, I know we've mentioned Hamptons about 1 million times, but tell us, Heather, what are the key characteristics of a style like that?
So certainly the key characteristics in a Hamptons style will definitely be the wooden elements, so particularly in your architraves, your panelling along your passages, as well as in the kitchen. Lighting is also very important and key to place in a chandelier form, sort of introducing that industrial mix of elements and the mixed metals that you would bring through, as well as colour and texture. I think those are really key points in terms of keeping a very neutral and natural colour palette, and then just introducing those varied shades of blues that really were inspired by the ocean, from a duck egg all the way through to a nice navy blue.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned colour, because I mean, it's quite clear that blue is a weighty colour around the room, but it's not overwhelming. How and why does that work for us here?
Correct, and I think definitely keeping in with the shades, the different shades, that's really key. We've gone for light and neutral greys, your off-whites, your linen tones on big pieces, as well as just add those pops of colour and blue in armchairs, for instance, and lovely introducing of patterns in your scatter cushions and ottomans.
Yeah, you mentioned that you're working with a blank canvas when you initially started, but you had these beautiful fittings to work with. What was your thinking behind incorporating that and working with those kind of features?
So definitely with that cabinetry already being built in, the key library spaces and those bookshelves were really a lovely element to incorporate just those family details and accessories that really make a home a home. In essence, it's those family photographs from a holiday, it's your trinkets that you've picked up on your travels that all just tell a unique and inspiring story.
Yeah, now one thing that really stands out for me as you walk around here is the flooring. You've got this hardwood floor and yet it balances out the lightness of the interior. Talk us through that.
So that's another a key characteristics of the Hampton style. You really want to go for a solid hard oak floor, and I think the darker stain really just grounds the space and the home as a whole. It allows us to layer those lighter, more natural finishes and those lighter shades of blues throughout, and really just allows for that pop to take place.
Now, Heather, we're standing in the open plan kitchen area, and it's really difficult for me to decide on my favorite part of the kitchen because it's so beautiful. What's yours?
So I certainly love the cabinetry that's been placed with the traditional silver half moon handles. I think the key element is also the island specifically, which really allows the homeowner to be preparing the meal and dinner while still having a conversation with her guests and allowing for that natural process to happen.
And the lighting and the cabinetry is just such a nice touch.
Absolutely. I think that's definitely a key element with introducing the glass and the light within the solid cabinets that we have at the bottom. Really allows for that extra element to be added. I think applying a downlight in the cabinet really accentuates your glassware. It allows you to place more colourful crockery inside, which really just adds to the aesthetic.
Yeah, they almost become accessories in themselves.
Within themselves.
Exactly.
Correct. So another interesting and key element that we introduced into the kitchen was the skylight, which continued through from the formal lounge. And that really allows for more natural light to seep through, which ordinarily would have been a dark space. I think the oversized two large windows really sort of just emphasize on looking out onto a beautiful lush garden. We've just applied a Roman blind on top, which has just got a subtle geometric pattern to it. And in the kitchen especially, just to play on that glass colouring, I've gone for a more duck egg colour tone as opposed to the navies and the darker, richer blues.
When executed well, the Hamptons look presents as beachy yet elegant and provokes a feeling of being cool, effortless and calming. One of the first things that you will notice about the interior of Hampton-style homes are large airy spaces, high loft or pitched roof ceilings, lots of natural light and a real sense of indoor-outdoor living. Ah, I see. So you've got a continuation of colours, but a few distinct differences in spacing and layout. Talk me through the space.
So this was definitely a contained area that needed to provide the eating as well as the relaxation from the lounge aspect. We've definitely broken away from the norm, if you wanted to, with allowing a really beautiful pop of colour on the wall. You won't find this in any other room of the home. So this was a really great area to allow for more of that relaxed finishes, relaxed textures, and a bit of fun in essence.
Yeah, and I absolutely love the different kinds of textures that you've used in your seating arrangements. What's the thinking behind that? How do you find the balance between, you know, not going too far-fetched from something that works and kind of makes it look good?
So I think that's really an important part in any interior design process, is having a look, and I think from this brief of keeping everything very neutral and very natural really allows you to emphasize on the different textures, which I think ultimately will create that beautiful put together look and feel. So it's really encouraged to pick up on textured fabrics. You've got your woven elements that are brought through from your natural baskets, your rattan chairs, as well as then just a more softer application, but in a darker grey on your sofa, which allows you just to have that playful element and pattern, which will then just be sparked throughout with your scatter cushions.
Hampton-style facades exude a clean, fresh feeling, whilst evoking the relaxing atmosphere that the seaside and crashing waves offer.
Welcome to Melo, to my favourite part of the home.
Heather, I see why. This is stunning.
We've definitely created almost just that boutique hotel space. This really just encompasses really just that idea of relaxing, that calming and tranquil space that you want to come home to at the end of a hard day at work.
Yeah. I must say, what stands out for me is this beautiful storage at the back here, because that's certainly what I need in my bedroom.
Very important for all maximising on the wardrobe space, and it's really nice that everything is contained behind, again, that emphasis on the cabinetry that we discussed downstairs.
Talk to me about the placement of the bed in the entire room, because that's pretty special, right?
So I think definitely the half wall being created as that divide between the dressing area as well as a really lush and oversized king-size bed. You've certainly got the space, why not use it? The half headboard as well really just defines and adds that much needed textures and just that pop of blue that we introduced with those warm, really lovely textures on the wooden side tables.
And complements the high ceiling quite well.
Beautifully well, with just a subtle chandelier that we've got in this space and a lovely roaring fire in the winter.
Now, I'm so glad we're in this room at this time of day because we get to see the sun streaming through in here so beautifully, but I see the importance of shutters at this point.
It definitely is a key element. And providing that aesthetic appeal that the shutters bring into a space, it also allows the homeowner control as to how much and how little light they would like to have included.
Now, talk to me about the ensuite bathroom behind you.
It certainly is a lovely ensuite, which we were provided with the rolling doors, again with that glass element which just breaks and brings in that different light texture. There's nothing more romantic than that freestanding bath that's in the centre, which really just separates the his and hers vanity. Each has their own space, can get ready in the morning and carry on with their day.
I have to say that balcony is so inviting. It's such a key feature to the entire home.
And again, still so serene and very calming.
God, let's have a look. Wow, look at this. Tell me about the fabulous lifestyle that the space allows.
So this family home is really just that slice of heaven that everybody really dreams about. It just allows you to come home at the end of a long day and submerge yourself in all those lovely textures, lovely, warm, comfortable feelings, and just really calm and a tranquil space.
Well, who needs the Hamptons when you have this piece of heaven right in the middle of Mzansi?
You certainly do.
Don't go away. After the break, we show you how you can achieve this look at home. today's episode of Finest Homes, we explored a Hampton-style home in Sandton, Johannesburg. Earlier, we chatted to architect Herman Taljaard, as well as interior designer Heather Botting, who created this classical home. Up next, we'll give you a few tips and tricks on how to get this look in your own home. What is it about this classic and elegant trend that has had us emulating, admiring and swooning for years and years and years? Is it the enduring sense of luxury and beauty, or the sense of simplicity and comfortability? Well, we have Ntabi over here to help us set us straight. Ntabi, we're talking Hamptons today.
And Tumelo, darling, you are oozing Hamptons today. Blue, white and effortlessly chic.
I only aim to please.
Well, come on in then.
Right, so we're talking complete relaxation. And there's nothing that says relaxation than blue. It's serene, it's calm, it's... Talk to us about that.
And the canvas is always, always white at the Hamptons. It's just... That's where the stage is set, and then from there our colours come through. So if you've got your white palette, in terms of your skirting, your doors, even a few walls, you've already set the stage for the Hamptons. Now what you do is you neutralise it with a few naturals, and that's where we come in with a few textures, and then we layer it up with colour, and the colour of the ocean comes through, and a little bit of greenery, and that's what sets the stage for our perfect, easy living along the coast.
Well, much like the vastness of the ocean, it felt like there were no limits to how much blue was actually used in the home. It was never overwhelming. Talk to us about the perfect balance for that.
The perfect balance obviously is our neutral tone, which is white, that helps to then create the canvas for the blue. And also what I found here was for the two lounge chairs, the various blues that you can go with. As you said, as the ocean, we can go darker and slowly we come towards the shore. And when you come towards the shore, you enter into your sandy palette. And that's what we brought into the sofa. And then we've got a beautiful, you know that foaminess that you get on the ocean?
Yes.
That's the color of that ottoman, that lovely foam color that you bring in there. And then again, the different levels of glass help you create that illusion of ocean blue perfection. And then the blue also gets carried through on the other fabrics, which are very important. We have this pattern that's very Hamptons known that we have to bring through along with the trellis design as well. And then that mimicking of the window panes and the mirror panes on the window along with the lanterns just creates that ambiance of we're on the coast, life is easy and we're living good.
Now, I'm excited to be the first person to introduce this concept in this episode, which is earth, wind and fire, the natural elements.
And water.
And water, the most important one here. I see that you've used kind of natural elements in the patterns that you've chosen for the fabrics.
Yes.
Is that obviously a part of the Hamptons theme?
Absolutely, because we're along the coast, you know, most often we're sitting in wet costumes and you want something very durable and easy to maintain. And these fabrics with that natural base help to achieve such. And it's all linens and just easy cottons, light, breathable, because it's quite hot usually by the time you get to the coast, and you want to be able to have a palette and a texture that allows you to have that comfortability.
Now, I'd like to talk a bit about the overall layout and flow of a home. If there's such a strong emphasis on relaxation, what is the kind of staging we should be looking for a Hampton-style home?
Lounging and more lounging. And when you lounge, you want big, comfortable armchairs.
Yes.
And that's very coastal, very Hamptons, and very chic, so to speak. And they're traditional chairs in this environment, which is very nice about what the Hamptons is able to achieve. They use traditional elements, but in a very different setting.
Now, with this simplicity comes very important elements, and those are kind of the fittings, the fixed fittings. For example, the kitchen cabinetry played a huge role in kind of paying homage to the Hampton style.
Yes. Which is very traditional farm style type of feel, and that's what's brought into this kitchen. Very clean, big, thick, carved legs off the table, and if you can see the deep basin that taps, that's how you can also create that feeling, just to say, and painting it all white. With the window panes, because that's very Hamptons, very windowish, very dreamy, very open to the ocean.
So if I'm wanting to transform my space into a Hamptons home and I go out on the weekend, what should I be looking out for in the shops?
Look out for chinoiserie.
Chinoiserie.
Which is our new word for today, and found in elements such as the cushions, the beautiful big bowl, and these gorgeous ginger jars. And you can also bring it in through your table napkins and of course your crockery, and immediately transports you right along the coast.
So true Hampton style, simple, easy, cool.
Seeing this home from the exterior, one would expect to find it located somewhere near the seaside, and once entering the interior, you are transported to a sophisticated home that could fit swimmingly in a Hamptons neighborhood. But you know what? It works wonders in a South African context too. This truly is a finest home.